So yesterday we got a lot to digest with the future of Destiny. The next 4 expansions were revealed by name, and the Edge of Fate was getting the most coverage amongst the 4 that were named there. Everything was exciting. It was nice to see that amount of stuff being put out there. We also got a sneak peek of what the second expansion is, and oh my, don't make this little Star Wars nerd lose his shit in excitement, because holy shit, I am looking forward to Destiny 2 Renegades. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the most important parts I took from the reveal. We won't be covering exactly everything, but as example, I'm going to be putting a good amount of time into the loot aspect of this reveal, because these are the things that I do think matter the most and look incredible. Loot was a very important question for me, and it's safe to say that they absolutely nailed it for me to be getting excited. What I'm seeing there is certainly something they mentioned before in those blog posts, but seeing it fully realized and described here, yeah, they're cooking. But before we jump into it, just want to say, if you guys enjoy the content and want more from me, be sure to hit that subscribe button and bell to be notified on when I do drop more content. With that out the way, let's talk about what we saw yesterday. So first up, real quick, let's bring up the roadmap here. Things are going to be changing for the content pipeline and what is required money to play the game. They are rolling back some of the, I guess you could say, gatekeeping of season passes and reward passes being tied to seasonal activities. So everything on the top side, specifically Destiny 2 Edge of Fate and Destiny 2 Renegades, you will be needing to pay for these expansions. The stuff underneath that, besides like the raids and dungeons, Ash and Fire and Shadow and Order, those major updates, they're free. They're going to be coming with their own activity, their own exotic mission, their own little arsenal stuff. That will be free for all players. So in general, I think this was a massive step in the right direction. It is making Destiny 2 a truly accessible game. And with some of the stuff, we're not going to talk about the core game stuff, you know, UI stuff, addressing the pipeline of what you should be doing and what you could be doing and what rewards you get, that type of stuff. We're going to be in a good position here when it comes to accessibility with Destiny, or at least that's going to be the hope. But with that stuff out the way, let's talk about the actual expansion they talked about, the Edge of Fate. This will be a Metroidvania style expansion that is narratively connected to the 9. Lore wise, this is going to be insane. The 9 are easily one of the least explored parts of Destiny, thus for the player opening up some serious doors for us to go through here, and I'm looking forward to it. We see in the reveal trailer the emissary, and at some point something's happening. She refuses to continue her role in serving the 9, thus peeling out of her shell back into what she was before, a guardian named Orin. In general, this was a nice reveal, a lot of lore stuff here. Not much to sell you on when it comes to what the hell this expansion is going to be on, but good thing they had a gameplay trailer queued up with this. I do have no idea if she will retain her actual guardian abilities, but I'm sure stuff like that will be talked about and explored in the narrative. The brand new location, a planet called Kepler, and this is Planet X, I guess you could say, if you guys want to be like that conspiracy theorist. Now, I'm not going to get into the science of Planet X, but basically there is evidence that implies that there is something out there past Pluto, or Pluto is not a planet anymore, but there is something else out there based on the rules of how we discovered planets. So they're feeding into some of that stuff. Now, Kepler as an actual location in the solar system is a thing in Destiny. It's not really a thing in real life at the moment, but who knows? I know the name Kepler could be confusing because the Kepler has actual names, or at least naming in outside the solar system. But yeah, Kepler is going to be a planet on the edge of the solar system, and I guess that's kind of fitting since this expansion is called the Edge of Fate. Living on the edge, I see, Bungie. Now, one detail that really got my attention with this location is going to be world tiers. As of now, it is only going to be an exclusive to this location. I really hope that it works out and they expand it to other locations, but world tiers in Destiny in general was something I didn't think we would ever see. But at least here, it's going to be a thing for the Edge of Fate in its location, and I find that awesome. The goal here will be providing better loot farming and harder challenges depending on the world tier you are playing on. And while I think this is something that is long overdue, it's awesome to see Destiny finally add this in. Now, of course, this is going to be depending on how they execute the implementation, but on paper, I am ecstatic about this part of the game. Now here's where we shift to, I guess you could say, the main part, the biggest thing I took away from this reveal, the loot. this is going to be a massive overhaul to a degree. In a way, it's something you expect to see if Destiny 3 was going to be revealed and launching next fall. We have multiple tiers for both weapons and armor. This is kind of wild, honestly. I especially was not expecting tiers with armor. This can potentially grant you higher stats and give you an extra energy slot. As you see in the image, you got 11. Stuff like this may seem small, but the impact will be insane for build crafting, especially with stats going past 100, thus granting even more bonuses than what was already established with the current system. And then you pair that with the armor set perks. So based on what we see again on here on screen, you have a bonus for when you equip 2 from the same armor set or 4 from the same armor set. This allows you to mix match sets for different bonuses. It's a wonderful change I am looking forward to the most. It adds a lot more depth to the loot chase while at the same time refreshing a very stagnant part of the game, which was honestly armor. Same goes for weapons. Now, while nothing is going to be changing as we can tell drastically as armor is, having different tiers of weapons, enhanced barrels because of it, and mags are a very nice change for those who want more depth in that loot chase. I will say though, rip PvP, because these changes are going to be insane to balance for that sandbox, but it's a good thing I don't play PvP like that. With different tiers, not only will there be changes to the quantity of perks you can have on them and how many are enhanced, but the overall aesthetic can be changing as well. Tier 5s look different, are more flashy and stuff like that, and I think that this is a wonderful quality of life change here that will hopefully change a foundational part of the game in a meaningful way. Loot is one of the core reasons we play Destiny. It's the positive feedback to when you play Destiny, and it's one of the biggest things that have hooked us over the years. So bringing power back to the loot like this is incredible, and it's the thing I am most excited for. Now, the last thing I do want to talk about here is going to be the next expansion. They gave us a teaser that I was not expecting, like I mentioned before, and that being a Star Wars themed expansion. This being called Star Wars Renegades. This will be an officially licensed expansion, which means that Lucasfilm Games gave Bungie the okay to use some really Star Wars inspired armor, weapons, and even story elements. It's important to mention this though. I see a ton of confusion here, and I guess you can say it's rightfully so. This is what it means. Destiny will not be jumping into the Star Wars universe. There will be homages to elements we've seen from the franchise, but this will not be merging worlds of Destiny and Star Wars together. As we see in this image, the location here is very Tatooine inspired, but if you guys see the sun, you don't see the twin suns in the horizon, so that isn't Tatooine. Maybe it's Mars. Maybe it's some part of Earth. I ideally would hope it to be Mars, but again, as you see here, it's a very inspired look from Star Wars, but it is not set in the Star Wars universe. Another example would be that, hey, you get to use a sword that is basically a lightsaber without having to be bound to the rules of the Star Wars canon. All this stuff is super exciting because Destiny's foundations are very much inspired by its core to the aesthetic of Star Wars. So this may be one of the most D1 things we get in the year 2025. But besides that, that's pretty much all I have to say on the Edge of Fate reveal. In general, I really loved it and enjoyed it. I am ecstatic for the future of Destiny. They added a lot of confidence. Of course, this is just my opinion. Some people may feel differently, but I feel like the loot changes and stuff like that added a lot of positive vibes to the overall reaction to this reveal, but we'll see how things go July 15th when Edge of Fate launches. If you guys enjoyed the video, found this video informative, be sure to drop this video a like, helps out the video a ton. And of course, like I said before, if you want more content from me, be sure to hit that subscribe button and bell to be notified on when I do drop more content. But besides that, hope you guys have a good one. ShadowNinja here, and I'm out.